Asian American or Pacific Islander can mean a lot of different things.
Our families come from many countries and immigrated to many different places.
But no matter how or where we all ended up, we bring our unique experiences, customs, and heritage to the table. And we celebrate our cultures this month and all year round. I'm Vicky Nguyen, and I'm a proud Vietnamese American.
I'm Kimmy Yam, and I'm a proud Chinese American.
And I'm Dominic Chu, and I identify as Chinese American.
So who exactly is part of the AAPI community, and why is May considered our month?
We're going to find out in this episode of Understanding Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage.
Like many other heritage months, the idea started off as a week-long celebration back in 1979 and was called Asian Pacific American Heritage Week. But why celebrate in May?
Well, there are two key reasons. In May of 1843, the first Japanese immigrants came to the U.S.
And in May 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad, which many Chinese immigrants helped build, was finished.
It wasn't until 1992 that Congress permanently extended the week to a month. And just 2 years ago, the Biden administration started calling it Asian American and Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Now, let's talk about who makes up our community. About 24 million Americans identify as Asian, and more than 1 million Americans consider themselves Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander.
We're often grouped together under the AAPI label, but those four letters cover so many people with different ethnicities and languages, and still some groups feel underrepresented within our larger community.
Many Asian Americans identify more specifically by region, like South Asian from countries like India or Sri Lanka, or East Asian, think Japan or South Korea. And there's also Southeast Asian from places like Malaysia and Singapore.
The U.S. Census technically doesn't include North Asia, think Russia, and West Asia, which makes up most of the Middle East. It also doesn't include Central Asia, places like Kazakhstan. But some with family ties to those regions do identify within the Asian American community.
When we talk about the Pacific Islands, they're broken up into three regions: Melanesia, which includes Fiji, Micronesia, including Guam, and Polynesia, which is where we find Hawaii.
Many simply choose to identify with the country their ancestors came from. So when in doubt, it's always best to ask.
There's so much to be proud of and celebrate within our community, but lately, the headlines tell a different story. So many incidents of anti-Asian hate and xenophobia, most recently at the height of COVID-19 in 2020. This, in part, sparked a wave of violent attacks against members of our community all across the country.
Even though it's hurtful, it's nothing new for us when you look back at U.S. history. In the late 1800s, the Chinese Exclusion Act restricted those of Chinese descent from immigrating into the country.
And during the mid-1900s, Japanese people were discriminated against and placed in incarceration camps during World War II.
After the 9/11 terrorist attacks, the public discriminated against many South Asian Americans, Arab Americans, Muslims, Sikhs, and others. For Native Hawaiians, the effects of colonization have continued to be an ongoing struggle as they fight to keep their culture from being erased and to protect their native land from the negative impacts of tourism.
This kind of discrimination happens on a small scale too, like the perpetuation of harmful stereotypes meant to other us, the idea of the forever foreigner, and the model minority myth.
Despite all this discrimination over the last several hundred years, we've been able to make strides towards equality in the U.S. But of course, we know there's still more work to be done.
We're grateful for the trailblazers of the past, historical figures like Dalip Singh Sao, the first Asian American to serve in Congress.
Patsy Mink, the first Asian American woman and woman of color elected to Congress.
And Ellison Onizuka, the first Asian American to fly into space.
There's even more to be proud of today, with the accomplishments of people like Vice President Kamala Harris, the first woman and Asian American to become vice president.
Michelle Yeoh, the first Asian American to win an Oscar for Best Actress in a Lead Role.
Actor Simu Liu, cast as the first Asian superhero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And Auli'i Cravalho, the first Native Hawaiian to play Disney's first Pacific Islander princess.
and these are just a few examples.
With so many unique traditions, languages, religions, and cultures to celebrate within our community, it's impossible to cover it all in just 1 month. But we can try. The hope is to inspire others to recognize the AAPI community all year long.